gentlemen, it's essential to appreciate broad spectrum of SaaS development in generative AI's potential across multiple industries. The landscape of technology, especially in sectors like retail, healthcare, FMCG, and manufacturing, is undergoing rapid transformation. Leveraging generative AI not only enhances operational efficiencies but opens up new avenues for innovation and service delivery. With that, it's a pleasure to welcome each one of you to yet another episode of the Digital Dialogues, where today we're joined by Kashi KS, Chief AI Officer for Alfahive. Kashi is a luminary in the world of SaaS and cloud platforms and brings 16 years of expertise across sectors like retail, FMCG, CPG, and healthcare. Has a proven record of leading technology organizations from the grounds up, developing transformative products that cater to over 100 million users. Thank you very much, Kashi, for joining us today.
Thanks, Kashi. Nice for having me.
It's absolutely a pleasure. I'm going to begin with the first question itself, where I'm going to pick your brains on various aspects where you've served in leadership positions. So the very first aspect that I would like to touch upon is the SaaS evolution story and the challenges within. I'd like to understand how, in your opinion, has the approach to designing and developing SaaS products changed over the past 10 years? And what are some major hurdles that companies currently encounter when trying to create some standout products in a dynamic and volatile market?
If we dwell into last 10 years, we have seen three waves of change. The number one being is cloud. Cloud has really revolutionized the way we think about products and services. This led to the further evolution, what we call as novel SaaS or hyper-personalized SaaS. If you go into this era of SaaS, products started evolving to serve specific user needs. We take an example of Hootsuite. It would not have come into existence in the first place unless marketers had a challenge of managing multiple applications across social media platforms. So we saw emergence of SaaS that are serving a specific role or specific user need. Then we are into the third era in the last 10 years, which is AI and automation era, where we are taking this ability to help users much better, wherein AI is taking over some of our work. For example, when you look at tools like copy.ai or any other tool, that is helping marketers not only about doing their work in a specific manner, but also being effective in their role. So we have seen these three large eras of change, wherein cloud reduce the cost of operations and reduce the barrier to technology. Specific SaaS products started helping different people adopt SaaS products and become more digital native citizens, and followed by AI and automation era. This also means that organizations have to adapt to this rapidly changing change much faster. So we see two problems. One is, be it startup or a large enterprise, they struggle with two things. One, the rate at which they're able to adopt the change in technology or innovation that's happening in the marketplace. Second is meeting customer expectations. As these products evolve, the nature of customer expectations is constantly increasing. So it's not just enough that you meet the customer expectations, but also have to excel at them by trying to provide services that make their lives easier.
That's brilliant, and I totally concur with that assertion. With that, I'd like to shift the focus of the conversation to generative AI, which has become quite the buzzword. And a lot of industries are actually exploring different applications within their space. Given your diverse background in the different industries that you've been a part of, how do you envision the applications of generative AI transforming these sectors? And if you could share possibly an example of where do you see generative AI being a potential game changer?
Sure. At Alfahive, we have invested into diverse sectors such as cybersecurity and cutting-edge generative AI. If we start looking at generative AI applications in particular, when you talk about manufacturing, LLMs are being combined with tools such as OpenJS CAD to actually create products and components that were never manufactured before. If you look at healthcare as a sector, Doctors had to go through all the patient records for multiple years before they were able to make a judgment. Imagine the use of generative AI, where you're able to condense all that information in a case of emergency scenario and triage to the information that you need the most. So AI helps to summarize that in a very powerful way. If you look at in terms of long-term care, patients have a lot of questions about their own health and what are the implications itself. So you can't have one single doctor answering all that. The doctor to patient ratio is already low. Now the AI application can work with you in the way you interact with doctor and start answering these questions for you. So there are more than one ways in which generative AI is influencing the sector. But that's into healthcare and manufacturing. But if we look at a different paradigm that's happening, the clothes we wear, the products we use are being generative AI is helping us change that itself. So you find that the pattern of the clothes or being the awesome vase that you're going to put up on your showcase, you have generative AI being used to create them and actually amuse us and even personalize to our own extent. So there's not a single sector we see that generative AI is not being used. But what's most important is when it comes to media or when it comes to banking and all these applications, it's important that AI is even secure in the sense that customer privacy is well protected. So we see at Alfahive, we are heavily invested into responsible AI to help customers actually adopt generative AI in a very safe and secure manner.
That's quite brilliant. And yes, like you pointed out, that the applications and the potential of generative AI within each particular domain where it can be used is, limitless. And of course, using it to its full potential is something that organizations are on display to. Well, with that comes this need of balancing innovation and scalability. And when it comes to architecture consulting for startups, how do you balance the needs for innovation with the requirements for scalability and reliability, especially in early stages of the company's growth?
The answer to this actually comes from speaking with founders who actually built and scaled their businesses really well. Irrespective of that, industry has already put an answer to this. One of the model is known as TikTok cycles. What happens in this is nothing but one cycle or 15-day sprint is dedicated to building innovation, wherein you focus on developing new capability. Next couple of weeks or next couple of sprints is focused on actually stabilizing it and taking it to market. This is combined with the second most important approach, which is iteration and adaptation to customer need around customer centricity. Imagine all that innovation that you're doing in your organization, but isn't actually solving the customer's problem. Either it is reducing their time to value or time to market, whatever the customer problem may be. I think it's important to adapt. So a part of this TikTok cycle is also focusing on tuning that innovation that you're having in your organization to solve the customer problem that for which you actually get paid for. This brings to the last important technique that you're looking at in startup world is fostering an agile mindset. A great example of it, if you look at it, how industry has fostered agile mindset, is going back to what Steve Jobs did when he took over Apple to build the next version of MacBooks that we see today. When Steve Jobs came back, Apple was actually using the IBM PowerPC architecture behind the scene. And he said, hey, we're going to design the laptop all new once again. But those times, the computer chip is the heart of the innovation that exists in every laptop today. And Steve Jobs took a bold decision that we'll move to Intel chips with the vision that I'm going to create my own chip 10 to 15 years from now. So when you look at a founder or a product leader or any organization looking at it, it is not necessary that you own the entire landscape. Think of ways in which you can collaborate with others, wherein you borrow innovation from others and make it part of your product landscape. And if you have the time and the capability over a period of time, you build it on your own. A great example of it is also the phones we use today. Most of the phones use either a Sony camera or a Samsung camera. And whether it's Apple or any other phone, they use the same camera. It is not necessary that you focus on when it means to be agile doesn't mean that you do it all in-house. Think of ways in which you can adopt technologies or products that are already being built by innovative companies and use it to create something that's much more innovative and much more meaningful to the user whom you're trying to serve.
Absolutely. And of course, there are great stories that can prove to be inspiration on founders who are actually setting paths and traversing new journeys to build the kind of organizations that they want to.
So
Well,
true, yeah.
absolutely. From there on, the one very important piece where all of us focus on is monetization and strategies around monetization, especially when new technologies are involved. So, if you could possibly walk us through your perspective on what are some key factors in developing a successful monetization strategies for applications built on emerging technology, for example, generative AI.
I would say there isn't a universal solution to it. Different product owners, founders use different strategies. If you look at some of the larger startups or companies, what they use is they use investor money to subsidize the cutting edge or the bleeding edge technology to reduce the cost to ship that innovation to the end user. And they bet on the theory that economies of scale will eventually reduce the cost of the product and they're able to monetize it. To answer the specific question, what does monetization look like? I think industry has put together a model for it. We call it token-based usage model, or alternatively, it is known as usage-based pricing model, wherein for what you use, you pay. Let's say you're building a startup or you already have a product that is there and you want to use different model. I think if your industry or if your product line is mature enough, you may even experiment with value-based pricing or outcome-based pricing if it suits your business needs. In short, I think these are the prominent ways in which you can monetize generative AI to actually serve the user need.
That's totally a succinct way of putting this and very articulately put. Thank you, Kashi. Of course, when organizations are putting together a monetization strategy, a very important component within that strategy is the correct team and having the right team composed for that particular need. So, if we have to zoom into composing a team for generative AI enterprise or an enterprise that is actually using generative AI, what would be the right composition of a startup offering Gen AI software and services? And should startups in India focus on foundation models or model tuning?
I think that's a very interesting question. So if you really go ask the customer, um, um, let's say we're in a fashion startup and say, hey, is this cloth printed by generative AI? Often they're not worried how the cloth is manufactured or what the design pattern is. They only want to know if it looks good, feels good, and then use it. So when you start thinking, what does it mean to the end customer and start engineering your team backward from the value that you can ship to the customer, I think that's the first place to start. Ideal team composition in this case would be a combination of AI researchers, software engineers, domain experts, and business strategists. It's also not possible for every startup to have this. So depending on your economies of scale, you have to think in a way to organize it. The second question, part of that question is, should startups in India focus on foundation models or model tuning? I think it is both. So unless as a country we are invested into building our own foundation models, we will not create next OpenAI for India over a period of time. So I think there are great leaders who are focusing on trying to build that. Having said that, if you're a startup or if you're getting started somewhere within this entire GenAI landscape, you might have to look at ways in which you compose your team of one or two engineers who are able to use this GenAI models that are out there in the public and use clever data engineering techniques to actually ship your innovation to the market. So this is what an ideal composition of the team would look like to be able to ship innovative products to your customers.
Brilliant. The next question that I have for you is reflecting on your journey and the rapid pace of technological change. What leadership qualities do you believe are essential for guiding technology teams that are so thoughtfully put together and organizations towards sustainable success?
At Alfahive, we believe there are three skills that are needed, which are in tune with all the conversations that you have been having, right? The technology is changing at such a rapid change. What do we need to do? The first skill that we really look for is adaptability. Leaders must be adaptable to rapid pace of technological change and embrace the change so that they're able to carry this culture along to every team member within the organization. The second most important skill that we really require today is visionary thinking. With all the chaos that is going on in the name of generative AI, often team members or even customer organizations do not know where do they really need to go, which means that you have to have develop skills to anticipate the change that is going to come and constantly evolve your strategies such that you're able to direct your teams and your customers to solve the problems that matter most to them. I think the third most important skill, now that you have adaptability and visionary thinking, is the skill of collaboration. So unless you're able to take your teams along to actually solve the problem and work with your customers so that we are able to solve the problem, it doesn't really see the products don't see light of the day. So it's very important that you're collaborative so that you're able to coach your teams to help them achieve more in their journey.
Absolutely brilliant. And of course, like you rightly pointed out, it is one of the very important qualities of finding the calm within the chaos that is actually
Yeah.
going on to bring in the right kind of outcomes. Um, Speaking about that, let's focus a little bit on the future. And my parting question to you on the interview today is looking ahead, what emerging trends in technology do you believe will have the most significant impact on startups in possibly the next 5 years? And how should upcoming entrepreneurs position themselves to capitalize on these trends?
I would say there are two, three trends that if I'm an investor or if I am an entrepreneur, would be too excited about. One is that India is growing probably by 2030, be going to be a $10 trillion economy or a 25 trillion economy or bigger than that. But having said that, this also means that the rate at which we're going to consume various products is going to change. And this is where a lot of technology is being developed, what we call as intelligent manufacturing, whereas humans are going to collaborate with AI to design and produce groundbreaking products in industries like be it retail, FMCG, pharma, fashion, or any industry that you look at. In fact, the interview that we are doing may be done by generative AI, where both our digital twins are sitting along and conversing with each other than we doing it. Maybe that's a little far-fetched in terms of thinking, but having said that, even media is being threatened by Sora from OpenAI, and music and MarTech is being disrupted. What we have to look at in terms of when we say manufacturing, software is also manufacturing today. What we have to look at is how do we use this trend of intelligent manufacturing and how do we use the power of visionary thinking to go and experiment in these areas so that we are ahead of the curve. I think the second key trend, whether you call it hyper automation or automation 5.0, is already is already with us today. What it means is here that you use automation as a tool to free up human bandwidth to do creative jobs so that you're able to reduce the time to market and focus on personalizing and solving each and every individual problem than a mass manufacturing problem. I think that era is already we are already getting into that area. I think we should be super excited about it, either as an enterprise or a startup owner. I think answering the last part of your question, right? With all this realm of opportunities, if we have to learn anything from what's changing, is that we need to keep our minds open uh, to adopt these technologies and embrace collaboration with all the people in the world so that we are able to innovate faster. History just teaches us one lesson, which is people who adapt swiftly and change are the ones who are likely to survive. And the rest, probably, I don't want to use the word perish, but definitely struggle in these times. So At Alfahive, we do something, what we are focused on is in all this chaos, how do we make the usage of this technology secure and help people embrace generative AI in a more positive way without being scared of it. So that's our primary focus with specialization in cyber risk and generative AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could agree more. Well, while the world was talking about survival of the fittest, we've somehow moved to a space where we are, redefining that to say that it is going to be a survival of the most adaptable. So that's where it's all leading. Well, thank you very
That's
much
it.
for those inputs, Kashi. A brilliant set of, insights that we've been able to uncover through this enlightening conversation. I would like to thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Kanchi. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Kritika, for organizing this. See you all around the next time around.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we take with us these invaluable insights into the evolving landscape of SaaS and the revolutionary impact of generative AI across diverse sectors and the crucial frameworks needed to foster successful startups, Kashi's experiences and expertise have illuminated the path to leveraging cutting edge technologies and strategic frameworks to transform challenges into opportunities for growth and innovation. Whether you're at the helm of a startup or navigating through the complexities of scaling your enterprise, the perspectives shared today are fundamental to understanding and capitalizing on opportunities presented by tomorrow's technological frontiers. Thank you once again, Kashi, for joining us. And to our listeners, keep tuning into the Digital Dialogues for more deep dives into the digital domain with leaders shaping our future.
Thank you all. See you then. Bye bye.